Listeners, we all would have had instances where there would have been a mention of Bhagavad Gita or Mahabharata, and different episodes or different instances from Mahabharata or Bhagavad Gita would have been given to us in examples of how these challenges that we face on an everyday basis, the hidden messages amidst the lessons or the verses that Bhagavad Gita shows. I have experienced it a lot of times, and for a lot, many of us, one of the very basic phrase that comes into the picture is that in Hindi we say, "Karm kiye ja, phal ki ichha mat kar." Keep doing your task and don't, look forward to the fruits of whatever efforts you have put in. So, and today we are going to be diving deep into this, fascinating topic: how Bhagavad Gita can guide entrepreneurs on their journey today. Me, myself, being an entrepreneur, is really looking forward to this discussion and providing clarity, focus. We have with us our guest, Anima Agarwal, whose entrepreneurial and educational journey has been nothing sort of inspiring. So I'll just quickly introduce our speaker for today, Anima Agarwal. She's an entrepreneur and educator with a decade-long career bridging technology and education. She transitioned from being a software engineer to founding Wave Kids, a STEM-based education initiative, and Preshni, an edtech platform supporting individuals with disabilities. As a mentor at the New York Academy of Sciences and a member of the Bureau of Indian Standards, Anima exemplifies the integration of innovation, inclusivity, and education. Anima has a unique perspective, balancing the teachings of Bhagavad Gita with the dynamic challenges of entrepreneurship. Welcome, Anima, to the show. How have you been doing?
I'm doing good, Pulkit. How are you?
Doing great. I'm blessed and I'm really, curious towards our conversation that's going to unfold today with how Bhagavad Gita is relevant for entrepreneurs and in today's modern world. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion.
Same here. But before we start, I would like to add a few points that whatever I'm going to tell about Bhagavad Gita, nowhere tells that anything is what I understood is right or wrong. It is simply the way I have been able to decode for myself for my own journey. I might not have been. It might be just a drop of ocean. So, but that drop has helped me to quench my thirst. So, that is what I'm going to reveal. I'm not saying I know Bhagavad Gita. I've read extensively. I have done a lot of research. It's nowhere is what I'm claiming. It's just that while reading or navigating or hearing podcasts, whatever I could adapt or whatever I could relate to myself is something what I'm going to tell today.
Wow, that's being really modest, Anima. And, you know, I believe getting the practical experience of Bhagavad Gita is going to be really, interesting to understand from you, because there are a lot of podcasts that keep happening and a lot of, literature that's available outside. And with a lot of subjective, notions out there and pointers, for us at today's generation, it gets difficult to understand what is the exact meaning of Bhagavad Gita. I was planning to start my journey of reading Bhagavad Gita once, and I was told that if you're reading it for the first time, you should not read it on your own. You should find a guide who could help you decode it and guide you through the whole journey. So I'm still in search of that guide who can help me go through it. But yes, I keep getting instances. I keep listening to various reels on the internet today that really intrigues me and makes me curious about the power of Bhagavad Gita out there. And I'm really looking forward to dive deeper into it today. So before we really begin into the journey of our conversation, Anima, why don't you share about your journey so far in your life, different milestones, and at what juncture of your life you got introduced to the Bhagavad Gita and started adapting it, started implementing it in your life, and how it has really made an impact in your life.
Okay. So, since my childhood, my father always used to tell that famous shloka of Bhagavad Gita. Whenever we used to score less, whenever we never used to achieve results, very candidly, he used to tell us, see, always that karmanya vatika raste mahaphaleshu kadachana. So, with this shloka, I've always grown up since my childhood, whenever Whenever we used to, even very small tests, we used to come, I used to feel upset. He always used to tell me, don't worry, you have done your work. Karmanne vati karaste. And sometimes I used to really feel angry and irritated that for every small and single thing, he used to tell me this thing. But I today, when I look back, I think, that has really given us a power. He has never, whenever we used to be happy, win something, he always used to hug us, everything. But he always, at the end, he used to always tell us that you should enjoy the journey. कर्म करते रहो फल की चिंता मत करो. So whenever we used to get frustrated even doing while studying or doing some things, he always used to tell us enjoy the journey. So that was there, but I never understood its true significance or real meaning that time. So when we passed our 12th grade, our school had given us a copy of Bhagavad Gita, which had the meanings. It was, I always carried it with me. I think from school, I moved to college. From college, I went to university. I went out to work. I went at various places. I never opened the page, but I always carried that book with me, thinking, okay, I will open one day. I was thinking it must be too philosophical, too out of context, and probably will I be able to understand or not? Because we that was not the age of internet where you would just listen about podcasts or we used to read about it. So I used to think, okay, it will be too, maybe not be too glamorous kind of a thing for a young teenager or 21-year-old or so. So I never opened that book, but it always was lying there. Then all that, many times I thought I'll start reading, I will start doing. Then I started with a simplified version of Bhagavad Gita. There was one book I bought from one of this thing, but somehow that didn't attract me. So I didn't open that book. It was during COVID times. I had There were no maids, so I had good number of hours in the kitchen. Very peaceful with me, nobody going out, no mates. So those 2 hours were very productive. And there was a time when I just started working on Preshni, and there were a lot of challenges, not only in the business but also around everyone because of the second wave of COVID was going on. There was a lot of anxiety, lot of uncertainty, and that was the time I thought these 2 hours I should utilize productively. And then I thought, I thought of starting listening to Bhagavad Gita podcasts. And that is what I started listening to. And then slowly I realized that it is not philosophical, it is nothing. It tells you the way how to lead your life. It tells you how to manage your emotions. It gives you a way, a path towards many problems, to solve many problems. So that is when I started. So I read its first chapter, second. I mean, I didn't read it actually, because there was no time that time. But I used to hear every day that podcast, and I went through that 18 chapters through that. So that was when I realized, and I was able to relate so many things to my that time current state of mind. So in fact, the way the podcast started was that, it is, you don't need to fight the Mahabharat battle as in when you have people around you. We fight it every single day with all our activities, all the things that we do, the challenges that we, so each and every one of us fight Mahabharat. And we are always in a state of anxiety or uncertainty whether we should proceed further or we shouldn't proceed further. So I think in that, I heard that I was able to relate so much because all of that around me, which was work, it was, I was not getting a breakthrough outside the work, was whenever I used to open, there were a lot of uncertainty. We always used to hear somebody's in the hospital. We don't know whether person is going to come back or not. So there was a lot of uncertainty and anxiety around. So I think that first, the way that voice said and the way it was too good and it kept me captivated, and then I proceeded on.
Well, you talked about the uncertainty being one of the factors, and I heard it, throughout the, previous response that you gave. I believe this unprecedented nature of our life is something that brings in thrill and something that brings in a lot of worries for many people out there. Now, people who enjoy this have a very different approach to life, and they have their other points which gives them worry. But this uncertainty is something, because even being an entrepreneur, I have often been in the phase where you have submitted a proposal, or a very basic thing if I pick up from an entrepreneur's life, and I'm assuming you would have also gone through with this, raising funds.
Yes.
Now, not getting too much into the professionalism or the other work ethics of the current VC ecosystem in India, but for a startup founder, once they have given a pitch, the duration till which they get to hear a yes or a no, which in my journey and other peers as well, most of the cases was you gave up on the response, that there's no response going to come in. That means a silent no. Now that's an unprecedented time. I used to play a lot of computer games. I went back to my childhood love of computer games to get through that time of worry, what's going to be the response, how things are going to be managed, or what should be the next plan of action. Because if I was not keeping myself busy or not keeping my mind deviated from that thought process, I was again just going spiraling down. If funds are not going to come in, what's going to happen? Playing computer games did give me that some space of clarity. While I was playing the game, I was able to focus my mind on the next plan B. If the funds are not going to come in, what's going to be the next decision? But that's a space where I have seen a lot of founders lose their night's sleep. They're not able to sleep. They lose their appetite. They are getting panic attacks or anxiety attacks. How how can this be some bridged, or how can people go back to Bhagavad Gita and learn how to manage these situations?
So definitely, when I have gone through it, when we used to have a lot of uncertainty, how will we manage money? The first month is coming, you have to pay salaries. One thing is very true. One thing is what I realized. You have to take control of what you can do. You cannot take control of what something else is doing or some what the nature is doing. So if there is some uncertainty, if you have to pitch, okay, you enjoy the journey. You know that while you're doing this journey, if this is not going to come, next door will open. जो हो रहा है वो अच्छे के लिए हो रहा है, जो होगा वो अच्छे के लिए होगा, जो हुआ है वो भी अच्छे के लिए हुआ है. So when you go through this process, you know that okay, you have certain things coming. If you enjoy the process, don't think that what is the result, whether yes or no. When you have given the pitch, you think that, okay, the pitch is all done. What should be your next plan of actions? Just detach yourself from that. You have given the pitch. Now, once the pitch is done, what are your plan of actions? How you should plan? You should have a plan A, you should have a plan B. You should follow them up, not follow them up. If you get, what should be your plan? If you don't get, what should be your plan? If you think this way, if you think if you get, it is well. If you don't get, that is also good. It is not that something bad has happened to you. But how will you navigate if you don't get? Make a plan B for that. It really helps. Don't get yourself attached to the results of what you work. Karmanyavadhikarasте ma phaleshu kadachana. Everything works on the same principle. Don't attach yourself to the results. If you get it, what should be your reaction? If you don't get it, that what could be your reaction? And secondly, many times, in Bhagavad Gita, they have said that uh, happiness and sadness are part of life, and you should be able to learn to deal with it. Okay, so uh, a plan A and plan B will help, and complete detachment from the results will help. Something which
So
is not under our control, we cannot do anything about it. Only thing what we can do is what is under our control, our area of influence.
no, I so agree with you on this, because this one last year for me, 2024, has been an year of evolution of my own approach to things, the way I used to deal. 2023 was not a very good year. A lot of downward spiral happened in the startup journey and few other areas as well. Now today I'm at a place where last week only I was at a place where I had no idea how I'm going to pay next month's salary. And even
Hmm.
today, I have some certainty that has come to it, but still, it's a certain portion still needs to be bridged. And that portion is where the funds need to be credited into the company's account so that I can pay salaries. I have received informations, but yes, I am still awaiting the funds to come into the company. And a year back, I would have, lost my night's sleep. I would have been in a different
Hmm.
position altogether. I would have been all worried doing my stress eating, which was my usual resort last year. Um, I still do it, but yes, the instances and the frequency has reduced a lot. So I'm still working on myself. I'm still a work in progress. But yes, last week I said to myself, I had done my part. Now it's up to the other person. I cannot control his or her decision. They have to make that decision. If they make in my favor, I'm going to give my 100% or more than 100% to, make them
Perfect.
feel that yes, their decision was right. They should not
Hmm.
regret making that decision in my favor. So that's something I can do. But yes, if they're planning to go against, that's not in my favor. Okay, probably I need to pitch on next set of people for the next proposals that need to be sent out. And the moment I brought this thought to my, whole scenario, that this whole thought captured my brainwaves, I was eased out. I was relaxed. There was a little bit of worry somewhere in the corner of my head. Okay, what if it does not happen? But at the same time, I was also eased out. Almighty is there, something is gonna happen and something will happen and things will get sorted. I don't need to really worry on this. So I really agree with you on this detachment point.
So another thing is, when we give pitches like this, investment pitches, because we also want to understand that other person will also take the decision based on their uh, whether they find it right or not. So there is absolutely no point in worrying about it. Only thing is, what we have to do is our karma. We have to continue doing our nitya karma. We have to continue doing our work. When we cannot do anything, we should focus on what we can do.
So anyway, tell me one thing. Probably it's me who has observed this, and I could be only looking at a very smaller sample set on this. But in a lot of people that I come across, the major focus always remains on the problem. They don't focus on the solution. They don't know how to
Hmm.
detach themselves from the problem. A lot of people in the corporate world, even if if you bring every working professional under the same lens, they take things too personally and they get so attached with the problem that solution is nowhere in the hindsight.
Most of the people focus on the problems and not the solutions. One is the way our society works, that we always focus on the problems. And but we don't have a solution centric mindset, because most of the times what we try to do is we try to find out the problems in others. Actually, we should find out how as a person we can solve, probably how as what we can do to solve the problem. And when we have to solve the problem, we have to ensure that we have it is with dharma. That is, we don't have to go against, it should not be against the true nature of dharma. Then it should be worth doing it. It should be for the humanity. It should serve the humanity. And it should actually, it should be as per your own nature also. Because if you try to go against the nature, you will not be able to do it. So these three, four things, if we start thinking how we can solve the problem, not focus on just the problem and sit and watch who can solve it.
So, Nima, you talked about dharma, integrity, and purpose, and I would like you to shed some more light on these 3 points. What exactly is dharma in today's time? Because even if I, go back and watch a lot of movies that are on Mahabharata or any other Indian, ruler as well, uh, they all talked about dharma a lot. That it's my dharma that's guiding me, or it's my purpose or integrity. And in today's world, all these 3 points have really become highly subjective.
Hmm.
There's no clear definition or clear demarcation on these things. So, how can one, first of all, identify what's their dharma, what is their purpose, and secondly, how can they, really remove the cobwebs that are surrounding these all 3 points in today's generation or today's time?
So, according to me, Pulkit, it has always been subjective. It is not in today's time. It has always been subjective. So if we see earlier times also, there have been lot of instances, if you read Mahabharata, if you read Ramayana, probably at this point of time, we could even question the integrity, where we can question why this was done, whether it was right, it was wrong, correct? But there is, if you see, there are certain principles which guide and tell us that it is correct or it is not right. Okay. Probably as a childhood, as a person that we have taken, we have imbibed certain qualities. And today, if I have to say that, if I have to go against that quality, for some, for example, if I have to answer something and I say, no, this is wrong, whereas I personally feel this is right, okay, I think I will not be able to do justice to that. So, dharma, according to me, is still subjective. It is integrity, truth, dharma, all are subjective. It depends on you, according to me, and this is according to me, it depends on what, as a person, you are more towards right or towards wrong. So we have been imbibed with certain thought processes, certain sanskars that we have been given. Now, if we are going against that, probably that might be for me against going to dharma, right? Uh, if we are going with it, we have to ensure that we follow that. So still, I mean, I don't know if I've answered your question or right or wrong, but this is according to me that if I consider something as wrong and I consider something which is going to be wrong. For example, if I say in corporate governance also, if you say that okay, this, you might get some proposal where you can say that okay, you make the money, but it is not as per my philosophy. Then I would say that I'm going against dharma. I cannot do this work, or I can do this work. Or if I take that work, it will be against my philosophy, against the principles which I have set for my own organization. So that is at least how I take it to be.
Understood. Understood. Um, and I'm trying to draw an analogy over here from Mahabharata towards the teamwork that comes into picture. I have few questions on Krishna as well, but before I move on to the leadership and or a mentor, I'd like to understand the role of team and how can startup founders really look at bringing that teamwork or understanding the importance of teamwork from references of Mahabharata. Because whatever memory I have of Mahabharata, that I read way back, the final battle of Mahabharata that happened when the Chakravyuh happened, it was a teamwork. When Ashwathama, that whole Chakravyuh thing happened, it was a teamwork where at one point I believe it went against the Pandavas. Ashwathama
Hmm.
died in that, and he founded himself, stuck in that Chakravyuh.
Abhimanyu.
Abhimanyu, sorry. Yeah. So how that whole thing, why is the teamwork really important? And how can we, draw our analogies from Mahabharata to understand that?
So first is that how is teamwork important? Do you think five Pandavas could have won the war all alone?
I don't think so.
So this is where the teamwork stands. So when we think of Mahabharata, we should think from the perspective that every startup founder, every startup has a lot of challenges. In fact, every business has a lot of challenges in front of them. So it is very important to understand that only the founding team members cannot fight the battle themselves. Okay. Second lesson is, when Krishna, when Krishna told Arjun, so he first, when he was first chapter of Mahabharata, Krishna takes the chariot and he puts a chariot in the middle of the two uh, armies. Okay, and he says to just see both the sides. And in first chapter, if you see, they have recited the qualities of both sides. Even if Duryodhan was seeing his army, and even how Arjun was seeing the army. So it's very important to understand that uh, two things I understood from this episode were, one is that we need to have a team which is complementary to each other. So if you build a team If you keep everybody with like who are like-minded or have similar skills in one team, and rather than you build a team which is complementary to each other and work with proper devotion, it is a completely different results you will produce. So you need to have a team which is complementary. You need to understand the strengths and weaknesses of the team. Okay. And most importantly, a team which is invested in your vision, invested in the work that they do. Like, if you see, if taking the case of Abhimanyu, Abhimanyu was invested in that he has to break the Chakravyuh. Okay. He was, and if you see that the two armies, the ones which fought for Duryodhan, we had Bhishma Pitama, we had Dronacharya, who were not invested in the cause of the war. They were invested in the throne. They had commitment to the throne. They were not committed to the cause of the war.
It was their
Whereas,
dharma that got
because
them to be aligned, right?
yes, for them that was a dharma, if you say, to fight for the king. Whereas if you see the army of Pandavas, most of them were dedicated or invested in the cause of the war. That is, they are favoring dharma, right? That Arjuna, the Pandavas should get the throne. So they were invested in the cause of the war. So a team which is invested into a cause of why they are doing it, you will be able to build a much better team than the one where you are not, they're just invested in probably the not the real cause of the work. So when you say the teamwork, we should always ensure that the team understands why they are doing it, for what they are doing it, and then probably if we get that investment from them, it would be a better, we could get a much better teamwork.
Uh, just building on this, Anima, in today's context, and since you also run a startup, the biggest challenge any startup founder out there face, or even any business, the usual businesses as well face out there, is hiring the right team.
Mm.
Um, a lot of factors, but there are only very specific points I would like to discuss and build upon. Because I talk to a lot of my peers as well who are running their own businesses, both traditional as well as new startups. And everybody shares their experiences of not being able to build a good and strong team. One factor often being where there's a lot of poaching happening with very outrageous hikes being given just to
Mm.
break the team. Now, that's one thing. If you leave exceptions aside, very difficult to combat. Happened with me in my journey a lot of times where I had trained team members, they were really happy, we were growing, and suddenly somebody would come and give them 2x or 2.5x of the package which we are paying. They're bound to leave. I understand they're right at their part because they also, at the end, why even I'm working is for money. We all have that one clear goal that we have to earn money for our livelihood, and the aspirations and dreams that we have, the wants we have to fulfill that. But in all this, context coming in, there's always somebody who can pay higher. And the term of loyalty, because I see a lot of old businesses as well around. Um, I have one of my mentors who really guided me at the very onset of my startup journey. I have seen people working with him for good 30 years, 40 years today.
Mm.
Now, people of those generation, probably, I'm from 90s, but people who were born in 60s or 70s or, early 80s, they still value loyalty and values more than money. They stick with their, teams or factories where they started their career and they're ending their career over there.
Yes.
But if you see today, we have even my friends jumping from
Mm.
one company to another company in just a year or even less than a year. Why is this loyalty, finding it very difficult to get its, roots strengthened in today's time?
Again, we have to see, loyalty. Why do you think in 90s the people were loyal, and why are not they loyal now? So the basic fabric of our society has changed. Earlier, it was the same that they were invested in that business, like, They like, I have seen my parents, they worked for the same organization for the whole of their life. Why did they do it? Because they were quite invested in that, this thing. Another thing was that uh, earlier when they used to look out for jobs, the now when they it was much tougher. Here, when now today's world, when we look out for jobs, it is much easier. Okay. And another thing is, earlier people were invested for values. Now they're invested mostly for money. So if they get more money outside, probably they tend to shift. Okay, they are not invested in your. If they are invested in your vision, if they're invested in your work, if then it is why you should. Then they will stay invested and they will be able to work for you for years together. But here, what happens? They're more invested on money aspect of it. So they join the company probably to gain a little experience and to earn. Then once that experience is there, they try to move on because that is why they're invested in building up their skills and earning more money. They're not invested in your business and your vision or mission. Right. So that is one particular, that is, in fact, I personally think, because I have known, and from my personal experience in this area, there are instances, yes, as you said, people move on. And secondly, I have seen persons even coming back to me work saying that even though we have moved on, voluntarily we will work. And since it was not a conflict of interest, they do not charge anything for that, but they do it voluntarily because they say that we are invested in your, we like what you do and it gives us more fulfillment to us comparatively, so we will still work for you. Okay, so these cases are also there. So people move. One is to earn living, and secondly they are more invested in building their own personal skills, own personal growth, I would say. And they are not as much invested, or they don't, uh, even if they want to, they are not there for your own growth and your company's growth. Probably if you see the same growth in your organization, they might not move. But currently we are not able to offer them what is their plan or mission, and they don't have the patience to wait and see them.
I understand. Um, how can a startup leader, really work towards building a vision which can get people invested into that vision? Now, I'm coming from a point where with Preshni, you're working towards a societal cause as well, which automatically drives those emotions where people want to be invested in.
Hmm.
But with traditional businesses like somebody running a content business or digital marketing agency for that sense, now they're running an agency, or somebody who is into the trading business. They're just doing a trading business, a very traditional business. How can these people build a narration and align their vision? Keeping money factor aside, I understand money has a very crucial role to play in today's time. Um, but yes, how can they really build a vision which echoes with a lot of their team members and gets them invested into the overall growth of themselves as well as the organization?
So, you know what? In the very beginning, when you make a person join, if you tell them that their growth is, when you work for the company, even their growth is equally important as the company's growth. Them. So you need to explain them the reason, understand why they are joining the company. So once they give you the reason for joining the company, many people will say, see, I have had interviews wherein the person will come and say they have not read anything about the company and they have come for the interview. So in such a case, I understand that even if this person joins, if somebody offers him a good amount of money, he is going to leave because he has just come for money over here. Or he has come because probably he's not getting an opportunity outside and he's got an opportunity here. So it's very important to understand why a person wants to join the organization. If you understand that to how why a person joins the organization, uh, you will probably able to answer that question better. How you have to retain that person, right? So According to me, that is one simple thing. And even whatever you do, whether you do trading, you do agency, whatever business you do, there has to be one vision and purpose of that business. So you have to choose a team which aligns to that purpose, not the other way around. That you get a person and then you try to align that person to that vision. That might not work.
Understood. Understood. Can you share some instances from your own startup journey where, a lot of leadership style from Gita and of Krishna's, verses has helped you in overcoming some situations in the business?
See, if I say at this point of time, I cannot remember exact instances, but one of the tough decisions I think a lot of entrepreneurs might be making is that very good opportunities come to you in terms where you have, when people say that, okay, you can quit the startup and you can join us as an employee, as a person, as an employee, or as for our cause, you join us. And very good opportunities are there that time. So it is, you have to take a call. Ho- should you do that or shouldn't you do that? So there has been in my entrepreneurial journey also, wherein when I was working with Preshni and there was no breakthrough, I was literally struggling every single moment. And I think the struggle, entrepreneur struggles will, it's a very lonely and a tough journey. So it is not that today my struggle has ended, tomorrow I will be leading a happy life. It doesn't happen like that. Every day you face new challenges, and every day you have to find a path uh, to meet or to overcome those challenges. But at the end of the day, it is very fulfilling, right? So that time it was, I had got these kind of offers, job offers, and I was quite swayed on taking up them because that gave me a lot of financial stability, lot of growth in terms of technology, where I was that time, and I would have heading a center and all that. So but ultimately I just kept debating with me, and whether should I go. I wrote pros and cons. I was not able to find out. But then I just thought that what could be the path in this if I go for Prishni. So whenever I was writing the pros and cons, it was biggest thing is whether it will be successful or not successful. Whether I'll be able to succeed in whatever I'm thinking I will be able to. So there were a lot of then realized that there's a lot of things attached to the results. It's not attached to the journey. Why I don't want to do it is why I don't want to quit and take up a job offer is because it was a lot of things were attached to the journey, to the results. And that was immediate aspect, I thought, okay, it is asking me, I'm doing all this is because I'm worried about the result. I want to quit and to go join the job offer. I'm worried. And that is immediately it gave me a sense of, purpose. And I, since my childhood, I always wanted to create a legacy when I'm not there. So that was also one of the reasons, I thought, okay, these two reasons are big enough. And I think that clarity I got when I revised those things, what I've learned from Bhagavad Gita, that, okay, if I know I'm not there, if I build an edtech platform like this, it will be a legacy and it might change generations to come on. And another is that I, what is success can be defined by me. It is defined by me. It is not defined by a society, right? It is not defined by money. Uh, in very clearly in Bhagavad Gita, I have heard a podcast which said that, in fact, where I have read also that uh, success is not the money or power or how a current society or current startups identify it. Success comes when you are able to change people's life, or how you are able to bring yourself up from completely from state where you are nowhere. So these are the factors which success is, where you are able to make other. Very clearly, there is one verse in Bhagavad Gita says that if you can change your life with the knowledge that you impart to others, if you can change their life, it is more valuable. With you gain knowledge and you give that knowledge to others, and that will, if that changes life, it is more important than anything else. So I think that clarity came to me because of my Gita.
Wow. Um, I do echo with a lot of your thoughts, but somewhere or the other, one of the factors that often drives my decision is the finance aspect of things coming in. So that's something I believe I'm yet to learn and evolve on. So working towards it. Something Nima, I would like to discuss is when we talk about a startup founder, we
Mm.
are only considering right now so far in our discussions have been the professional aspect of things. But the pillars or the strength often a startup founder derives is from the family, the personal dynamics that one has to live with, go forward with for the remaining 50% of their days. So 50% is work, 50% is your personal life. You're coming back home. Now, how a balance between personal dynamics and professional dynamics can be brought in with so much chaos that we are seeing in the world around today with us. There are a lot of cases coming about divorces, there are a lot of cases coming about suicides happening all around. So, somewhere or the other, it's a reflection that the personal lives of people are not as good as it's shown on social media. And I was
Yes.
recently very shocked to hear the news of a suicide that recently one of the RJs who was always a chirpy girl over Instagram and from Jammu and Kashmir, she passed away with due to suicide. She committed suicide. So what we are showing over social media, that's not the true reflection.
Mm.
That sort of becomes a flex to for others, and others often feel inferior because they are not able to live that life, but it's part of their aspiration, whereas they're not aware about the reality of the other person's personal life.
True.
So one, how can a balance be brought around these things? Secondly, if somebody is building facades around their true self and showing a lot of happiness and a lot of positivity on these so-called social media out there, but in personal life they are having battles which makes them take that you know step. I believe no one should, because the families are devastated. And I wrote some time back something around somebody who committed suicide, one of the again Bollywood celebs.
Mm. Mm.
um it said that one of my friends had written a status around it कि बताता नहीं है. So he or she does not tell. And so I wrote a whole verse I will share with you. It was all around that when the person is screaming out loud, you're not hearing. When he or she is giving the telltale signs, you're ignoring all those telltale signs.
Mm.
And you leave that person with no option. I believe there's always an option, but yes, the mindset gets such when you're in depression, when you are anxious, anxious, that nothing else really comes to your mind, and you just
Mm.
want that thought process or that pain that's really pinching you hard to stop. How can Gita really come to the rescue?
See, first of all, everybody has to when you say this, it is that we are not able to take the pain that comes to us with a lot of grace. So if you see, Gita always says that you always have to remain at the same state, whether it is happiness, don't feel very elated. If you are sad, don't feel very sad. Okay, so if we are having, and all this will be part and parcel, like a person is habituated to experience cold and experience hot. They should be able to habituate themselves to experience happiness and experience a period of grief. Okay, so how you react to this when you have cold, when you feel cold, you take something to cover, right? So when you are undergoing some pain, some anything, one thing we have to remember is continue doing your karma, continue doing your work. You, it is, I know it may not, it is seem very spiritual to you, but what you think at that point is right. There are two, three types of karma, that is nityakam. We have to do something which we have to do regularly. So if we have to do something regularly, we have to do. You cannot say that, okay, I'm sad today, I will not get up and do my regular work. We have to do that regular work. We cannot say that, okay, I'm sad today, I will not work towards my exam or whatever. Like as a founder, if I'm saying I had given commitments to you, but if I today I said that I'm sad, I will not record the podcast. Will that work? No, we have to continue doing our work with whatever state of mind that we have. And that state of mind, we should start controlling that state of mind. And even we have to go, aisa nahi hota, like lot of times many people say that we should go according to the heart. If we want to do, we will do. If we don't want to do, don't do. It is not like that. In Gita, it is very clearly written that if you can control your mind and your heart, okay, you will be able to win the war. मन के हारे हार है मन के जीते जीत. So if you think that I will lose, I am not there, you will not be able to win. The one who controls the mind and controls the heart is actually the one who will control, you will be able to win the war. So if you think you have whatever is shown to you, why you are doing it, if you have a period of tough time, everybody undergoes it. It's not only me who is doing it. And another thing is that we people, as a person who is watching the social media, we should also be very balanced, you know. We shouldn't think, okay, somebody is showing very happy, so we have to follow that happiness. There are moments in their lives in which they are happy. There are moments in our lives in which we are happy. So why should we get affected by their emotions or their projections, you know? So that is something we have to understand, that everybody and anybody has these happiness in their times. They face heat, they face cold, and we have to be balanced ourselves. We have to control our mind, control our thought process there, wherein we don't get affected by these regular thought processes. So sometimes what happens, if you say, okay, I mean, I'm just giving you an example as a startup founder, or we get a good amount of money and we just start spending, paying very high salaries, spending money, and suddenly we realize that we lost the money, then we go into grief. Whereas if we plan those things well ahead, I think we should be able to take it forward. So this is actually the key of uh, keeping your uh, personal life and your professional life at balance as well. That don't bring the tensions of work to home and don't take the work to office. This is one thing. And I understand, and the priorities have to be there. So when you say ki we have to control the mind, we have to control. So there are times when house needs priorities. There are times when business needs priorities. We need to control that priority. And when we're doing this, we have to ensure that we are just not telling that, okay, you should do this, you should do that. We have to lead by examples. That is very clearly said in Bhagavad Gita. A good leader leads by example. So if we are telling our children, okay, anybody, that you have to sleep early, you should do early, and we them ourselves are awake till 12, 1 o'clock, then we don't give that example. We don't set an example to them. So this is very important, that whenever we are saying this to follow, we have to lead by example.
Understand. Um, Moving on to the next question, how do you think that spirituality can, you know, play a very important role in your own personal growth as well as the growth of your business? How can spirituality really guide you through it?
Uh, First is what we should what is spirituality? How do you define spirituality? Uh, because you know, in current world, or the way we have been projected, is that if we do certain rituals, if we follow this, is that spirituality? Or is that your state of mind that you are in, or you follow, or your principles will follow? Is that spirituality? So I personally believe the second part. I may not be doing the rituals, all the rituals, like, but sometimes I feel, you know, if you do puja or if you do things, helps to attain that spirituality. All depends on your thought processes, but this thing. And spirituality is what uh, it is like, for me, it is more towards, for me, that spirituality is uh, giving respect to others and the sanskars that I have been brought up with, giving respect to others, doing my own work every day, follow my own work, do my own work, then uh, work towards the mankind. But all these steps that we take is, it shouldn't be, when I say we have to do our duties as well. That is what Bhagavad Gita says, that do your duties and anything else, but it should be within those things. For small, small things, this can be followed very easily if you say. It is doesn't say that don't celebrate if you want to celebrate a birthday. Don't. It is not that don't throw a party, but it also tells that when you're celebrating it, remember the people who are less fortunate. So if you want to say have a budget of X amount for your happiness, try to give some 10 to 20% to the society as well. So with that, you will be able to fulfill things. Or if you're devoting 7 days, 28 days in a month on your own growth, 2 days you can give to the society, right? So spirituality is how, uh, you can, if you say work with in his business, is when you say ethical business, ethical governance. If you try to do a business which doesn't go against your, what I said earlier, dharma, or it is as per your principles. It should not be there. You should not break anyone's trust. You should not fool anybody. You should not do. So if you don't do all those things and you build a business based on that, it is again you're building a spirituality and business together.
I understand. I've heard a lot of people talk about, you talk about 10% or 20% to be, dedicated towards societal help or, towards a cause. Um, I heard somebody way back saying that dedicate 4% month on month towards the good cause. So for the actual line was that make God your partner and make him a 4% partner in your business. Now, the actual meaning was donate or give that money back to the society. So probably that 4% grows month on month. You're able to do more and it brings in the growth as well. Um, if I put it in a very financial terms out there. But at the same time, yes, the contentment that comes in, the satisfaction
Mm,
that comes in when you go out and you're able to serve, like something very small thing that I've started now doing is I don't like giving away money at the traffic light signals, on Delhi
mm,
roads or any place I'm driving. I've started keeping, pack of biscuits or chips in my car. And if any child or anybody whosoever comes, an elderly or anybody who comes asking for money, I hand over them that chips packet or a pack of biscuits which I have in my car. So while I'm not able to give that money, and that personally, it does not allow me. My consciousness does not allow me because of the rackets that are being formed around just begging money out there. But yes, giving that a packet of biscuit at least feeds their stomach. Now, something that
mm.
I was thinking again was now instead of keeping a packet of biscuits, let me keep chocolates now because a lot of kids are often found at the signals. So biscuits they might again give to elderlies, but chocolates is something that that child is gonna relish and enjoy, and is gonna bring a smile on their face. And it does not cost me much for a probably around a month's budget is not more than 200 300 rupees. I get that whole box of
Mm.
pack of biscuits in that much, and it gives me that complete months of bandwidth for it. So and it really gives them that satisfaction when the child gets that and they are happy. They're passing out a smile. There are other instances I will that you're giving me a biscuit, can't you give me money? But yeah, wherever I get a positive information on that, it gives me happiness and gives me satisfaction that okay, I did something good today. So I believe that could be one of the stepping stones to it. What are your thoughts?
See, I don't, I mean, since my childhood, at least I have seen that my father always used to say that, 10% of, I mean, he used to give the amount also that 10% of your earnings should always be given for the society. And as and when I grew up, and he used to give me a reason that society and you, whatever you are today, is not only because of you. It is because you have a society and you have a country who has built that ecosystem to bring you what you are today. So you should always, don't always think about yourself. You always have to bring up the society and the country for you to grow. So that was a thought process. But I mean, he always told us this. Again, I never understood that so much. But now, when you look at the ecosystem around you, look what has happened to Sri Lanka, what has happening to Ukraine, Russia, and all the wars which are going on, it brings me a very strong affirmation that the kind of society that we have built, it is mainly because, that we are here today. Whatever opportunities we are getting today, whatever we are, it is because of our efforts as well as our family's efforts, but also because of the society and the country that has given up. So we shouldn't forget that in our thought process. We should always give back to them whenever required. Like for example, in Preshni, we are trying to bring education to the doorsteps of persons with disabilities. So we are trying to ensure that any person should not be able to deprived of education, and whatever they want to do, the skilling, we're trying to skill and upskill them for a better and independent and employable future. Now, even if I'm able to create a few citizens whom become taxpayers later on, I think we will be able to improve upon not only that one individual, but many more individuals like him, because he will change the people around him. He will change the thought process of people around him, as well as he will also try to multiply that things. So
Yeah,
it is always when you give back to the society, when you do these things, it is a ripple effect. So probably what you are doing for 200 rupees, 300 rupees today can create some ripple somewhere which you don't even know. Correct? So it is a ripple effect. It will carry on. So you don't know how this can be carried on by some other person,
yeah,
or how you have been influenced by someone to do this work. So anything which we do can definitely, there is immediate impact. Another thing is there is a ripple impact. So we shouldn't worry about what we are when we are doing this work, what is coming back to us. We will get back, but we should continue do this work for the society, irrespective of uh, whether we see the without instant gratification is there or not. It will lead to a better and a stronger society, is completely what I believe.
I agree. I totally agree with you. Um, what are some of the parallels, Anima, you can draw between Arjuna's dilemmas way back at the time of Mahabharata and the challenges we as startup founders face today?
First is, I don't want to do this. Sometimes we face it because, again, why? Because you have to sacrifice so much. In terms of Arjun, it was he said that he had so much in front of him. So he can see his own loved ones standing there. So sometimes you have to sacrifice so much in your life, in when you're in entrepreneurial journey, that you feel, is it worth doing it or not? You are uh, this is one thing. Again, what you should do is follow what is your instinct. If you really feel that, many times when you have financial dependency, for me, I'm lucky that I have a husband who takes care of my financial, of the care of the house. Though my financial needs I take care, but at least for the house he takes care of the house. So I from that perspective, it is a little constraint, I'm eased out at. But if you have a financial constraint and you see that you are sacrificing a lot, then where should you do it or shouldn't you do it? So this is one, like I think mentioned earlier also. Another dilemma is many times is the anxiety that we have associated with it. If we do it, what is going to happen? What will be the results? If this happens, what is this? If this happens, if what not this happens. So it is a chain of reactions or the results that we start thinking of. So that is one dilemma. He started thinking that so many people will die. What will I do with the kingdom? So automatically he assumed that, okay, everybody is this is going to have destruction is going to happen. So it was the result of the war which caused a dilemma, and basically that everybody is dying and I will get the kingdoms. That is the result of the war. And that is again, we have to detach ourselves to that. If you feel that karma is right, you feel that path is correct, you should take that path, continue to take that path. But at the same time, be mindful of the sacrifices that you have to make, or be mindful of the, um, I would say, uh, the resources or strengths and weaknesses of your strengths and weaknesses. So if you feel like, suppose if you want to do something which in which you're not strong enough, there are two paths: either to attain knowledge, like what Gita says, attain knowledge and do it, or you find some path where those that weakness or that weakness is compensated for. Don't try to do something you're weak and you're not able, you have to do like. So he had the strength, he had the one army. So what is what Arjuna made him, Krishna made him aware of. So we have to be continue doing it, but be mindful of your strengths, your weaknesses, your sacrifices, uh, and don't focus on the results.
Understood. And there are so many questions I'd like to ask, but in the interest of time, one final question. For someone who is new to Gita, Bhagavad Gita, what would be a good starting point to integrate its lesson into the daily life?
I think my first shloka, which my father introduced to me, was Karmanye Vadikaraste Mahapulishu Kadacha. Focus on journey, focus on the results. So focus on the karma, don't focus on the results. I think if we are able to inculcate this in our lives, we can automatically go to the next state of being happy and sad and other things. Automatically, those things we will be able to translate.
Amazing. Thanks a lot, Anima, for sharing these wonderful insights with us today.
Thank you, Pulkit. Thank you for the opportunity that you gave me.
My pleasure, just, you know, being the medium that God is guiding me towards. And really happy to have this conversation. A lot of thoughts I'm able to now find streamlined. There were moments where I just went completely blank in my mind. I had to refer back to my notes to get to the questions. But thanks a lot, for this wonderful conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And listeners, as we wrap up this enlightening conversation, one thing becomes clear. The Bhagavad Gita is not just a spiritual text, but a timeless guide for navigating life's complexities, including entrepreneurship. And there's a lot more beyond what we discussed today. And feel free to put out your questions or comments, whatever you would like us to be answering for you. And remember, whether it is learning to let go of outcomes, leaning with compassion, or finding clarity in chaos, Bhagavad Gita offers profound insights for today's startup world and our personal lives as well. Thank you, Nima, for sharing your journey and wisdom with us. And listeners, remember that growth, whether personal or professional, begins with reflection. If you're facing stress or challenges in your own journey, we encourage you to share your worries anonymously on a mental health forum. You will find the link in the episode description. Let's continue this dialogue on wellness, entrepreneurship, and ancient wisdom. Until next time, stay curious and stay listening. Thank you.